variety of sources of information that are in constant communication with our physiology. So that inflammatory response and how that inflammatory response is interpreted by the immune system. But really the gut plays such a pivotal role for many reasons. And the primary reasons are that you have this enormous, complex ecosystem there with anywhere from 300 to, in a very diverse intestinal environment, 1,200 maybe species of gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria, plus eukaryotic species such as fungi. Or yeast and viruses, in some cases, parasites that make up this microbiome. And that mix of species has enormous influence on what happens at the gut lining. Then you also have, of course, the importance of particular components of our diet that may either feed families of bacteria, feeding one more than others. You have other dietary components that may be additives to food, chemicals, agrochemicals that are used in the growing of food, and then other substances that may be produced during food process that help eat it. And all of these create an incredibly large number of moving parts that can influence that intestinal lining and all of the different receptors that lie in close proximity to that intestinal lining that can pick up on either potential threats or ultimately sources of inflammation. Now, it's really important to know that a large percentage of our immune system, in some cases, depending on the individual, but in some cases, 3/4 of 75% of the immune system lies within just a couple centimeters of the intestinal lining. That's really important when we think about all of the different ways that diet and that microbiome can influence the immune system's activity and consequently inflammation. Another important aspect to note is that a high concentration of particular families of leukocytes, for instance, eosinophils, which can have very aggressive defense behavior patterns when it is interpreted with a blood presence. They're also there at that front line. And then, to build upon this, the intestinal lining, just as a kind of an overview, is over the course of human evolution, it has been given a variety of gateway or portal type of regulatory exposures to what's in the GI, meaning that at times these windows will open and allow our immune system to have some short windows of exposure to potential pathogens or pathogens for that matter, and other possible threats that the immune system will have to produce antibodies to for later defense against. And that's a big part of this mechanism for immune programming that over the course of human evolution really evolved to have acute exposures, not chronic exposures to particular aspects of our diet or particular species of microbes. Now, again, as an overview of all of this, chronic and sometimes acutely intense stimulation of particular families of leukocytes that are there at that intestinal lining can generate an overly aggressive immune response or an immune-based cascade of events that ultimately contribute to the pathology of one or more tissue types. That may be connective tissue, nervous tissue. There are countless examples of that we'll take a look at in a moment. But there are really the leading causes of diet-based, food-based inflammation. I had to narrow down to the 5 most common sources. First would be dysbiosis. I feel like there is an overwhelming body of clinical evidence now showing very strong relationships, and in some cases cause and effect relationships between particular pathogenic bacteria, families of bacteria, imbalances, and inflammation or autoimmunity. Then there are also a significant number of papers, which this is put on novel information for clinicians that show the damaging effects of lectins found in a wide variety of plants, most notably legumes and certain grains that damage the gut lining and increase permeability. Then there are, of course, non-compatible proteins, which are in the headlines daily, and most people are now familiar with the damage that casein or gliadin or something like soy protein has been shown to cause. Again, researchers have found out various mechanisms between these less compatible proteins, whether or not our immune system is interpreting them as a foreign invader, western circulation, whether it's the role of something like gliadin, which is the most common type of boost in stimulating zonular production and thereby increasing intestinal permeability. There's a wide variety of mechanisms that can explain the inflammatory effects of these less compatible or non-compatible proteins, but they're something that most of us have had a certain amount of exposure to. Then there are the roles of less naturally occurring and more either synthesized or food processing generated compounds. These would be 2 major categories. We have advanced glycosylated end products, sometimes referred to as age molecules, either produced in high heat cooking, and then you have a variety of artificial ingredients and chemicals, some of which are used in clinical trials when they want to generate high levels of intestinal permeability in the animal model to actually use specific additives or emulsifiers that are used in the food supplies is really, it's really hard when you start to think about, that paradox that we're using in the food supply for a particular aspect of food science, and yet we're also using it in animal models to generate an accelerated level of GI pathology. So these would be the 5 most common sources of dietary-based inflammation. But again, this biosis should be at the top of the list, primarily because it can go in so many different directions. Now, in the past month or so, there have been a handful of papers. I put these references at the bottom of this slide if you want to look at these more closely, that have been looked at by many gastroenterologists, immunologists, registered dietitians, and a variety of host of clinicians as major breakthroughs. And they're really just, I would say, more recent affirmations of prior research which has shown very, very similar results, but different models on different time frames. What these last couple of interventions or trials have shown is that there are at least 4 different ways in which dietary modifications influence immune function, autoimmunity, and overall levels of chronic inflammation. Those would be dietary restrictions and or fasting, have shown to stop a deteriorating immune system and actually improve an immune system's ability to recognize cancer cells and to be more effective. Fasting has also been shown to promote a highly anti-inflammatory or systemic type of process throughout the body. Fasting has also been shown to alleviate, in some cases, reverse autoimmune diseases. And a restricted diet with respect to eliminating fractions, eliminating those dietary sources of less compatible proteins, which we just talked about in this previous slide. So whether we want to call that a specific carbohydrate diet, a more paleo diet, a gluten, dairy, soy-free diet, there are a lot of different ways in which we could look at that particular dietary intervention. But overall, these dietary restrictions have been shown to significantly improve outcomes with ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, and that